And we
Hello,
are in.
and welcome to the 55th episode of DevKami. And I am Chileong,
uh,
and we're still waiting for swimming to come up.
I'm in.
And
Okay.
yep, today is what's the date? It's 24th of October, which is Thursday, and we are having hello. We are already
Uh,
live.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
I was in just now. Then you can't see me. Interesting.
yeah. So yep,
Uh,
and we have swimming.
yes.
50. Let's go through some of the happening
Yep.
for this and next week.
Yep.
So what is going to happen? Basically, today is Elixir meetup at Elixir Cross Junior Dev at
Mm-hmm.
um, Rapid River,
Mm-hmm.
and on Tuesday we have Golang meetup at Taksuri.
Mm-hmm.
And on Wednesday, they're gonna be KLJS. So I
Yep.
think that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Then.
it's gonna be we're reaching year end, and it's gonna be a bit things will go a bit slower in terms of community activity.
Yep. So and we're lazy, and
Yeah,
unfortunately we also have life. So there's
yeah,
that.
and also some of us like especially like me, I tend to only like take breaks if I had to.
Yeah.
Uh, So which is like basically I save it until the year end
Yeah.
and until the pretty much last minute.
Yes.
And what is actually going on around
So.
all these days?
So last week I discovered a thing called System D Home D. Have you heard of it?
The one that gonna take control. I saw people discuss it, but I didn't read actually what how it's done.
Uh, some of the good idea from Home D is that you got a very currently, believe it or not, your home directory is actually very peculiar. It's actually a bit special, like most Unix directory. For example, you can't easily have a home directory on a pen drive. Uh, you can't put it on the external drive. You can get really weird and all that. You can't isolate it well and all that. So what you have here is a daemon to manage it. That's a proposal anyway, and it will be controlled by the thing that I hate a lot, System D. On the other hand, what makes it interesting to me is that Home D suddenly make Linux not Unixy at all, right? So it get really weird really fast to me. So that's what happening. So that's one thing I discovered. Then the other thing that happening is have their personal data leak online.
Yep, this a bit unfortunate.
Correct. This happenings like every year in Malaysia now.
Yeah, the bad thing is I do not I do not condone it because we actually the victims are not. I mean, it's actually political field, but
Yeah.
the victims are actually not related in this case.
Yes.
And the really big bad thing that is happened is they didn't the database apparently when it leaked, they discovered that the database is the password field is not hash at all.
Correct.
So everybody got plain text passwords.
Yes. So bad practice and all that.
Yep.
Uh, and it's surprisingly common because believe it or not, what good practice for us is not always good practice for other people.
And by the way, we actually reached 105 followers on Facebook.
Oh my goodness, how on
So we
earth that
hit
happened?
yeah we hit the 100th milestone. So
Okay.
yeah,
Actually, we
yeah,
have friends that actually promote it, so that's that.
yeah.
So the next one is not VPN got hacked.
Yep. One of the data center is they discovered that is not that secure.
Okay. then goes Release 3.0, and Windows Terminal is now modern, so definitely reach the
Yeah.
21st century. So that's that.
Actually, one of the colleague actually tried out. He's on
Uh,
Windows.
yeah.
And it's a bit of vanity, but apparently you can use a GIF as the terminal background. Yeah, that's already like much better. I mean, it's a vanity feature, but it's a vanity feature that pretty much impress people.
Yes, I think so. The thing about Windows Shell is PowerShell is awesome, but it's very verbose. It's powerful but verbose. That's that.
Yeah,
I think there's another important announcement, interesting news that is recent one. Google reached quantum supremacy. I think we'll discuss that later on.
yeah,
Yes. So I think that's about it for news today.
yeah.
So what are we talking about?
I'm gonna share the link to the video. Microsoft actually did a really impressive, very cheap kind of introduction to the Windows terminal. Check it
Okay.
out. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Oh, we lost that. We just lost Chilia. Okay, bad internet. So what are we talking today? We actually promised to talk a few things. One of it is Google which quantum supremacy.
and I accidentally kicked myself out.
Ouch. So what are we talking about again?
We just gonna do a bit update on the current affairs,
Yeah,
like what is going on, like this kind of topics,
yeah.
general light topics,
Okay.
supposedly. Yep. So yep, let's continue with the what's the importance of Google's achievement in that
Okay,
case.
so let's talk quantum computers. What is a quantum computers? Can you explain to me in a simple term? What is a quantum computer?
You're supposed to tell me.
Okay, so quantum computer is actually a type of computer that based on quantum system. So, which is a bunch. It sounds a bunch of nonsense, but it goes like this. Your computer can go on and off. Why it's on and off? It's very easy to build. Uh, those days, you literally flip switches. As you get, you can do logic out of it,
Yep.
and all the way to the late 1800s, we actually had the whole idea of logic gates and all that. It used to be just something. It used to be a mathematical vanity object, so it's abstraction, very interesting. But why? And turns out that this kind of state machine is very useful to build calculators on those days. So fast forward, then the calculators turn into operating system, all that. Now we had a new kind of idea called quantum computers. Now quantum computers are actually based on not one and zero, but what we call a superposition state of one and zero. So a quantum object like your electron, they have a thing called spin, and it's literally spinning. But the thing is, they do not spin one round or another round. What they do is they got things like half a spin. I think electron is half a spin. It can spin up and spin down. And in electron, we do not actually know at one time before we measure it, it's all of it at the same time. The best way to describe this is actually the Schrodinger's cat, the most cruelest
Yeah, shooting.
experiment.
The what they call the quantum superposition, which is
Correct.
true and the on and true and false exist at the same time.
Yeah.
So until it is observed, it is not deterministic. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if it's using the word right. Yep.
Correct. So the thing is, even though this is weird in a way that we will not know the result until we measure it, turns out that it's actually very cool because at one time you can actually measure all the state at the same time. As you measure all the state, everything can happen until you measure it. Then, up to a certain probability, you get a result. So, why this important? You might ask, right? Turns out that complete is deterministic. It's either one or zero at the same time, and to simulate your map or your terrain on the object. You really have to count a lot of stuff, which is why your GPU actually contains a lot of cores calculated at the same time. Quantum computers with a few qubits can potentially do the same thing, same kind of calculation, and more, right? And which is why quantum computing is very interesting right now. Uh, so yeah, anything you want to add?
Nope.
Uh,
We can add in others updates if we want to. If
yeah. So
or you want to elaborate more on the quantum computer because I have no idea what is it about
okay. So
right now.
the thing is, quantum computers. That's the abstract idea, right? Abstract idea. Uh, but it takes a lot of work to actually reach to this level because the thing about a quantum object is by definition very hard to measure. So you're talking about measuring an electron, measuring spin of a atom. Often it's I believe it's an ion cage. Sometimes it's virtual particles and all that. There's various approach. Each of it require highly sensitive measurement, which is why, as of right now, quantum computers are super cool and measured very slowly. And we talk about 4 qubits at a time. It sounds very little in computing terms, but it's actually very powerful already. Uh, So, and as of now, the thing is, I tried quantum computing. I looked specifically at IBM Q laboratory. They actually had an open uh, Q experience. They actually had an open SDK, which allows you to submit your code to the IBM center. Uh, you can try it online, but the catch is you actually, as of right now, you also need to have some experience in quantum computing. You need to understand what is quantum computing right now, and the way you build a program as of now is to build what we call a quantum circuit. You literally set a series of gates. Imagine you're writing a set of AND gates and OR gate in digital to write a program. As of now, to write a quantum program requires you uh, to actually work on that level. So it's very interesting, very powerful, but it's also not as intuitive as we have right now. Uh, I will I will share a few links later. And here's the interesting thing: you can program it using Python. There's a Python SDK that allows you to work on it.
So does it mean that there is quantum computing is not mutual exclusive with the current way of doing computing, or it
Uh,
can be adaptive?
it's doing two different type of things at the same time. Our computer is awesome for things like on and off. For example, a lot of the things that we do are not actually require this kind of calculation. A good example is displaying a pixel on your screen is about on and off at a range of small numbers. So you can do it discretely. Measuring your movement is really discrete. Uh, Everything you do on the computer is already digital, and there's no good advantage of using an expensive super cool system to actually move stuff. But uh, quantum computing is very awesome for things that's probabilistic. A good example is uh, doing factorization. Doing factorization is a
Things
very
with a
hard
lot of things that with a lot
probability.
of branching.
Correct. So factorization is one of those things that quantum computers very good at. We use a thing called a Shaw's algorithm for you to do that. That's a more well-known one. In fact, Shaw's algorithm is one of the earliest algorithm that says that you can use a quantum computing system to actually factor a large number, and it give people a scare in 1994 because you can use it to break RSA, the security, right? But it's only been proven in 2012 when they do a factor of 50. So it's
Mm. Also in
Currently, it's
encryption, there's this thing about what we call it quantum safe algorithm, right?
yeah, correct,
Which will withstand the what we call it the when we have the quantum breakthrough in quantum computing breakthrough basically, and the
correct,
algorithm will be still in a way still safe to be used.
correct. And also, we have talked about probability. Another thing, quantum computing is very awesome at is actually chemical reaction. Chemistry is about bond of electrons, and there's many probability with how it works. And a stable quantum state is one of those state possibility where it happened because the reason why your water will react to other things not because it's totally stable. It's not. Uh, Given certain condition, the energy level will go low enough that it speed up and turn into something else, another chemical. So for simulating chemistry, quantum computing is awesome.
But for
But
drugs,
yes,
drugs,
drugs, fertilizers,
and also
etc.
like disease, finding cure to diseases, like because all those protein simulation will be done much faster supposedly.
Correct. So I share a few links on. I should share on the YouTube channel. Maybe later. Share a few links on the DevKami Slack. But quantum computing, in my opinion, I'm not very good at this yet. It will be something like your GPU. It will help you calculate certain things that's very hard to calculate. And in the early days, it might be more similar to a supercomputer where you offload the calculation offsite to do complex calculation, while your computer serves as a terminal for things. Or something like a Bitcoin mining rig, right? So your computer is a terminal for things where you offload all the works to a farm of things. The concept is the same. It's more GPU than this. I'm looking forward to the day where we can use a quantum computer to simulate a map or do. Can you imagine Kerbal Space Program where they can do complex orbit and calculate it on the quantum computers? It'd be crazy. So in practice, quantum computing is awesome for certain things, and for the Google quantum supremacy news, a lot of it is about certain kind of problem that is very hard for computers to do, but very easy for quantum computers to do.
Yeah, but that thing is just an announcement, and
Yeah.
right now they need to publicize, and people will need to verify the results in order to confirm.
So currently, this is a PR move.
Yeah,
Quantum computing is still an academic study taken by multiple companies right now, and it's done in a scientific method, meaning they need to be peer reviewed, replicated, and whatnot. So it could be a few years before we can see something interesting out of
yep.
it. So if you want to try quantum computing, Microsoft have a simulator called Q Sharp. It's a specialized language. You can use it to interface it with a C# program. Unfortunately, that requires Windows for you to work on it right now. But if have a Windows machine, you can use it to interface your C# program, the .NET actually. You can use a .NET program. The example tend to be C#, or you can even use Python. Python as an interface. Python because there is actually an intersection between scientific computing and quantum computing. There is a interface for Python for this. Uh, IBM have their own one called the Q Experience. Their tools is called the QIS Kit. You can actually use it to try it yourself, and you can even upload it to the IBM computer if you're lucky. I think that's I think this is the tool that I know of. Google do not actually release any SDK for third party to use. So that's another thing. So for now, to play around with it, which I suggest you really do look it up. Uh, this is the two way for you to try. Question.
No, no questions.
Okay. Did you
I'm
go
gonna
through
try.
at once?
I'm gonna just try it out.
Okay. Let me put this on the YouTube channel. Ah. Okay. So anything else I want to talk about?
Updates in terms of uh, as you know, Apple's latest
Hmm.
version of the operating system Catalina is released.
Oh, okay.
So
I pretend that I do not know, but
okay, did you upgrade?
I I'm holding it up because
Okay,
I got 3 days break
okay.
because this weekend is a 3 days break in Malaysia, so I'm
Apparently,
going to wait.
it breaks a lot of things for a lot of people.
Right.
The one main thing that affect us developers is the removal of the 32-bit support.
Ah, okay.
So and also adding, for me, the one that affect me is the new permission system,
Right.
which people jokingly say is the Mac OS Vista. Yeah,
Yes.
because like even like doing ls your download directory, yeah, the permission you there gonna be a permission prompt and you have to approve in order to access it from the program site. So
Mhm.
and another one is one also if you're on the Mac, it will be more significant. Firefox 70 is released.
Uh
It's
huh.
something like right now what we're doing is something like an extended version of Buzz Corner, but like we since we ran out of what do we want to talk about?
Yeah.
So we if we actually have something we are on the top, but I think we are saving it with Tristan. Tristan is around, so
Right.
at least we get a more diverse kind of opinion
Opinion.
on certain things. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Firefox 70, uh, the main thing that is missing from Firefox in terms of development is the WebSocket inspector. It's already
Ah,
in.
cool.
Um, if you're on the Mac side, the Firefox renderer is actually now using the native some sort. I didn't read the details, but some sort of native renderer. So now it consumes less and power.
Hmm.
So it renders much faster and consume less power. So what else? Oh, and BBC just released their Tor mirror.
Yep.
So yeah, so you can access your news if the government is trying to block you. But the problem with Tor is that it doesn't work in countries like
China,
China. Yep.
Iran.
Some countries, like from what I know, is that like
Yeah.
South Korea, they use SNI to block instead of DNS.
Right.
So different countries might employ different methods of censorship. So certain, like it's known that people from China cannot access Tor directly.
Yes.
Yeah.
It take a lot of work for you to a lot of work just to get something online. China is one of those people that also selectively allow access to VPN and whatnot, even though legally,
Yep. Depending on which state you're staying at, actually.
yeah,
So if you're
uh,
living at those what we call the first class city, then you have a better access than the other classes. I don't know
yes.
what they actually call it, but I call them class.
So another thing is, if a foreigner, often a lot of my friends are in China. They're okay with it for some reason.
Yeah.
So there's that.
So, what are the interesting things that is happening in Malaysia? Like, just focus it back to
So
any
I attempt
conferences and stuff happening around.
I attempt to do a space app challenge last weekend. Something happened,
Yeah.
but in between, I did some preparation, believe it or not. So I'm going to show you guys. There's a API service. This is actually one. There's actually a few things I learned along the way. Uh, One is uh, satellite image is actually very hard to find, uh, and that's true. If you only certain only US GS have it with the Landsat data set, but problem is low resolution, and for very good reason, because satellite are slow, right? Satellite orbit, satellite doesn't cover same place every day at the same time. Uh, Earth observation satellite tend to go on a polar orbit and they tend to be a bit slanted. But that said, you do have some image available, right? So you can actually get some image out. But getting high resolution image, I feel I don't know how to find those. You actually can get it. Sometimes you do manage to get some high res image on that you can use. What does it can use? I give an example. Uh, Sometimes
Oh, it takes time.
huh?
Takes time. The link that you send me takes time to load.
Okay. Yeah, it's very
Uh,
slow.
yeah,
Land looks
the
USGS.
USGS. Yep.
That one is actually very high resolution, but I share my Instagram photo sometime back. You do able to see city, but you can't see building. Uh, Sometimes if you're lucky, you can do find some image to from video, but I do not know where the source is. The reason why I know those exist is because I help map map OpenStreetMap, and they do get some reasonably high def image. So I do not know where to get the tiles on. It's donated, so somewhere, so I need to find out. Uh, so why you need those kind of tiles instead of Google Map? Because uh, each unit of a square, if you analyze it, you can find out things like how many greens you have in an area.
Can
So
I
when
put
you
this this
certain,
way? The stuff that we put in Google Maps belongs to Google,
yeah,
so it
and
doesn't
also you can't
benefit
get the
your
image.
neighbor. Yeah, it doesn't benefit your neighbor.
Yeah, and also you can't get the pixel image to be reanalyzed again. Uh, so you need image, and that I still try to find a good source of images that we can use to map out things like I don't know the Malaysian Open Data.
What is
Uh,
the source? What is the source of USGS land look? Is it OSM?
Landsat, let's
Okay,
say those
so
are actually Landsat photos, and
but
Landsat only do survey.
the one that I'm looking at is actually the map tiles. So they look like they are being processed. Right?
Yeah, yeah, they're pretty updated because Landsat mission is still ongoing.
Okay.
The Landsat series of satellite is still in orbit and is still orbit, but they are not high resolution photo because they are meant to survey the planet. So they are not surveying lands; they're surveying globally. So which is why you do not get a building size image. But another place I want to look at, but it's very expensive, but very easily available, are Planet Labs. But Planet Labs is last time I checked, it's like 800 US dollar a month. It's very expensive. Uh, but Planet Lab, they claim daily coverage. What I do is they have what they call a dove. It's a CubeSat. It's a three U. It's okay. So for jump to terminology, a CubeSat is actually a microwave size satellite. It's around the size of this bottle, slightly bigger. It's shoebox size, so roughly this size, and that comes in unit. So what Planet Lab does is they have hundreds of this size of satellite in orbit, and each of them actually had actually a telescope looking down. and because they have hundreds around and cover many places. They can do daily update at one spot. So Planet Labs actually have that, but the thing is they are expensive, and the reason expensive because this information is very hard to find.
Yeah, this information is very expensive as well.
Correct. But $800 a month is cheaper than what you get right now as a traditional provider. It's cheaper,
Yeah.
but it's still expensive for people like us. But it's companies are using this information for various purposes. Uh, because they can see ships. Planet Labs image is good enough for ships. They use it to actually keep track of logistics. So they use it for logistic analysis because the country only have several ports. So by the amount of ports and using schedule, ship schedule actually open in public. You need to buy it. It's in public, but they're compiled in paper as a result. You have to buy it. Uh, you can actually track what kind of trade is happening in the country or at the region. So you can use that, and you can actually use satellite to actually verify this information. So people that subscribe to Planet Labs are working on this kind of analytics. It's a very interesting area now, actually.
I
Another
remember there's
place,
a I remember
yeah,
there's an interesting project that somebody actually looked at these pictures and then track where the oil fleets went around, and
correct.
using that he predicts the oil prices around the world
Yeah, precisely,
by the activity. Yeah. But I forgot what's
precisely,
the name of the project. It was
correct.
really interesting.
And some of the defense journals. The defense journal means this is analysts that doesn't work for governments. They work for news organization all that. So what they do is they use Planet Lab satellite to actually look at aircraft carriers because those things are huge, battleships. A naval ship is actually big enough to be shown on the map. So it's actually pretty interesting to do. It's just expensive as hell. One, well,
Yeah,
one
that's
day if you got money, will do.
that's a 14-day trial.
Yes, yes. Oh well. I'm drooling looking at the data set. So either way, I discovered all this kind of data set, uh, and also there is only certain thing that you can do because certain data set are funded based on the vision. So sometimes they do global, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they need to process. So, for example, I discovered there's something called Sentinel 5P. They have high resolution sensors for pollution. Uh, so that is actually awesome for cities and all that. Uh, there's a few that cool. So there's that, and there is. I should show you Yodis. Yodis is awesome. Uh, Earth observation. Oh. Also, in between, I also discovered that sometimes the resolution is not really that useful. So for example, on the NASA Worldview satellite, you can actually, I'm sharing the link right to the guys right now. You can see multiple layers. And from the many layers, you can actually see data. You can download it, but certain data is actually very hard to see. Let me
Yeah,
go
I gotta
to
share.
the.
Yeah.
I'm
You want
going
to share
to,
your? You want to do a screen share?
yeah, I'm going to do a screen share right now. Let me do
Yeah.
that. Share screen.
I'm gonna put
Uh,
you on focus.
Share screen. Select window. Stream. Yeah. Okay. Can you see it right now?
Yep.
Okay.
Right.
So first problem with satellite are clouds. So you can't see a lot of stuff here. But let's find something interesting. Carbon monoxide, total column day, right? So this is carbon monoxide, and you can see that this is toward. Let me turn off the layer. Okay, here you are, carbon monoxide. Notice that the data is too high resolution. Each of resolution is that one big area. So something to be careful about. Even though you can download data, it may not be something that you can use.
Yeah, it's not fine grained enough.
Correct, because some of these mission goal are not to do. Satellite doesn't always do something at one city at a time. What they do is they do globally. Something to want to know. And also, there's a reason why I show the satellite trail. Notice that they don't actually cover all the area. This is the reality of using uh, satellite for dataset. You do not get 24 hours. Cannot handle that by having hundreds of satellites around the world. Whereas often these missions are one or two mission, which means one or two satellites in polar orbit. So you only have one satellite cover at one place at a time, if you're lucky at all, right? The data set is interesting, but it's just that you do not always get what you expect. Just be very careful about it. So here's another one. So again, very high grade and there's dark zone. So it's not really useful. It's useful for atmospheric research, but it's not really useful for data nerds like us to want to make an analysis of one place. So another one I want to show is Landlook. Landlook is cool because it doesn't mean it's useless. That's the point. It doesn't mean it is useless. So I hope I can see images. It will be a bit slow, but it's very cool. There's a reason. There's a reason why I think I want to show this. Uh, because my other place is actually my social media channel, so it's a bit private. Yeah, it's not private. But what? I think I'm gonna show the one I share on Instagram. But now, blah blah blah. Yes, I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd. Here you are, and it's a bit small, but you can see that. Notice there's a. So this is the Greater Kuala Lumpur area. All the greens are the greens. This is the level of what satellite can provide right now. If you use public domain data. So see, you can still see big city, big building. So it's not too bad if you want to do that. I think one opportunity that we actually can still do is plantations versus private land and whatnot. But just be careful about just be careful what you expect to see because you cannot zoom in too deeply. But I think Landsat the Landsat mission is started from the 1970s till now, uh, when they actually have satellites and all that. A satellite good enough for good enough for scientific research. So you see here, that's the Greater Kuala Lumpur. This is the Pahang area where it's still didn't develop. Ampang, Gombak still have a lot of jungle. So you can still do that, and more importantly, you can download the image. You can download the image. Thanks, Uncle Sam. So let me put that here. So see here, this is the park. So the development is here, and you will see around Sungai Buloh. So you can see urban area very clearly. And if I do a time series and all that, if I download all that, I believe we can do some very interesting. What's the name of it called? Data visualization. So yeah, that's what I discovered from space thing. Let me turn off my
Oops.
sharing.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah. So I think space will be interesting. If you got resource, Planet Lab will be awesome. Right? We are too poor
Yeah.
for this, so too bad. I'm not gonna do 14 days and that's it. So yeah. So that's my misadventure on space things. So either way, play with the API. Very interesting stuff happening. Maybe you can even build. You can look at exoplanets. Uh, we can't move there, but it's still interesting to me. So you can. They have low res planet photo. Asteroid. Very cool. If you want to know which asteroid will kill us and when.
I don't think
Uh,
asteroid can reach the surface that easily
uh,
because
so uh, the So the Near Earth Object Web Service is a service to show the keep track of all the asteroid now. So it's very interesting to see. It's not so easy, but it show you like the size, anything that you track, like how many meters, and it's like in kilometers. Most of the thing that manage to track is less than 100 meters. Uh, but it's cool to me because imagine Chelyabinsk suddenly had an asteroid. Uh, Nobody dies, but a lot of glass got shattered, so it's crazy. Uh, Mars rover photo. NASA actually have genetic research, so you can also look at that as well. So yeah, science and stuff. Really interesting thing. Uh, if you can find some patent, you can also use a thing called NASA also have some 3D models for rover design. uh, rocket, rocket,
I'm gonna share it.
rocket booty, uh, open design. Uh,
Did you share it anywhere?
uh, I lost it. I lost the original links.
Okay, it's fine. We're gonna add it to the like Facebook page
Yeah,
afterwards or in the comments.
yeah. Rocket booty, 3D printer.
Yeah, and Nicholas say he was at Law Tech,
Yeah.
and a group
Uh,
that yeah, the winning group is actually they have a amazing project. Like the team that won
um,
had an amazing project.
what's the project about?
I have no idea.
Yeah. So what's the project about? I do not know. You can't tell us it's amazing and all that, right? So I'm sorry, but you need to do a bit more,
Yeah,
Nicholas.
I'm gonna share a story, a whole creepy story that
Yeah.
there is a drone flying outside every like not every but last 2 nights ago,
Yeah.
peeping at the bedroom windows like around the block.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a it's a very creepy story. Just pull your curtains if you have it,
Okay.
or
Yeah.
you can perform. You can yeah. If you stay at high rise, like you can see like I'm not facing any other building, so normally I'm actually don't pull the curtain at all.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
so yeah, creepy stuff.
Yes. Do you manage to catch it?
No, because I'm actually at the 30th floor. The
Okay.
problem with that is the window is actually is you cannot actually in like those office window where you can just push a little bit out
Mm-hmm.
that you cannot open it wide.
Yeah.
So nobody will be like if there's a strong wind, nobody get blown out of the window while trying to close it. So
Okay.
it is a pretty much locked. I cannot open it wide.
Here is the one.
Okay.
So I finally found the link. So one of the things that NASA actually do share that is not map is actually
Yeah.
they actually give you the mechanism and everything that you
Yeah.
can 3D print.
Nicholas replied
Uh-huh. Go on.
end to end law registration. Yeah, we're gonna check it out afterwards.
Okay. End to end law. What?
Yeah. Uh,
End-to-end law legis. Oh, come on, man.
I don't know what that is.
So, okay. So my main thing about this is we have to see because lawmaking need a lot of fresh idea. Uh, Need a lot of fresh idea, and we deserve a lot of fresh idea in lawmaking. So that's the thing about the hackathon on that day. Uh, I'm more familiar with the law thing, but actually the space thing. I promised the space thing, but the space thing isn't bust. So, uh, and also a lot of the thing that during hackathon is the focus on tools and lawmaking. It's not just about tools. It's about impact and all that. What I think I really want to do about law that is actually interesting is, do you know what's the extent? How far you can extend your house? uh, each of your district, each of district your daerah or majlis perbandaran, your city hall had different numbers. So you should so it'd be good if I know what is the size that I can extend my house. For example, that is useful.
Yeah.
That's law. That is law, right?
Per city council.
Yeah, each city council have one, right? So and also what they plan to build around my houses. That's another, and those are actually by law. What's the license? How do I get license for my dog? Do I need to spay them? That's law, and different state have one, right? Shah Alam had to make sure the dog to be have the mouth covered. Here, in Selayang, you just need to spay them. Unless you want to breed the dog, then you need to ask permission and stuff, I
Okay,
believe.
there's the idea if the court incur go a legal action. Okay.
Or
Yep, that
this
this
is
is
just,
actually
yeah. So it's not
not.
legislation per se. It's more of legal service,
Yep.
end-to-end legal service.
I would like
Legislation is
that.
different
I
thing.
would like that for a lot of other services as well, like just like hospitals as well.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like, uh, like like basically, speaking from a very inexperienced person, all these things
Yeah,
is like a lot of hidden fees around, like stuff that actually like after this you still have to pay like this
yeah.
much for that.
Yes,
And
especially true if you're in private clinic and all that. Yeah, also good if you know what kind of support you get as well, end-to-end service.
yeah,
So because I had a family tragedy not too long ago. Turns out that we got a lot of help from the state government at the time. Nobody knows about it until very much later. So it'd be very good if we can compile these things up. So yeah, so that's actually a very good idea to have. So, but when you thought legislation, I was thinking lawmaking, not law service, legal service. So that's my expectation. But law is very interesting actually, for various reasons. Uh, for example, again, the small law is interesting. Uh, then your then what else? Better law is not big thing. We have a lot of small thing that I keep forgetting about. What's the legal way to get a license? For sure. That's interesting, right? Where can you set up a business? Those are bylaws, right? Those are bylaws. Small things. We don't have a lot of focus on that because a lot of people just ignore it. But I think law, hacking the law, as in building service around digital service, had a lot of small laws that we are invisible about but
yeah.
are very important in life.
That's the one that really like scare me off of doing a lot of this, because there's a lot of like like hidden steps. It basically I call it like just like hidden costs. Oh,
Correct.
just so you know, you also need this and that after you
Yes.
do this and that.
Correct.
So like you
Uh,
don't know like when you end like
yeah.
yeah when
And
it
also,
will yeah,
yeah. Go on.
that's about it. That's about it.
So, for example, another good one is your financial service. How much you can pay, how much you should pay,
Yeah.
what is required, what is not required. Those are hidden things that nobody knows about, right? When you go for insurance, can you claim for something? What's your right for
Yeah,
claiming something? Your agent will tell you that by legally, but what if a lot of things, those are laws, believe it or not, those are maintained by laws, are encoded by laws, and something that we keep nobody looking at, which is why I think law is a underrepresented area. It's just that uh, not many people think about that and stuff. So nobody think about that as a service and all that. So another thing very interesting is we can automate small dispute, those are law service as well. But that's just me. I just think law is interesting, but the hackathon seems to go to the wrong place. Happen at the wrong time, and also how do I say it? I have problem with hackathon. I don't like to form a team with strangers to do things with. They just
yeah. Then you should have organized one beforehand.
yeah, I should organize someone. Then I realized that I really do not want to drag people to stay overnight to hack stuff, right? And also, I'm not a competitive person, so that's that. So I don't like competition. It's
We can
just
always hack up stuff anyway.
yeah. We can just do it for fun.
That is
That's
because I think hackathons makes more sense in the early days, like when there is a problem of discovery.
yeah.
Unless
Yes.
you have problem, I think for at least we are actually fortunate because we don't have problem having we don't have problem like to let people discover our own stuff.
Yeah.
But for some, it might be useful a useful platform. But for us, we are way beyond that that thing.
Yeah. Correct. So well, oh well. That's hackathon.
Yeah.
Maybe I should spend some time to hack more stuff than actually just talk about it. That being said, I think that's all from me.
Yeah, I
Anything
think
else from you?
that's so. Yeah, Inti hack. Yeah, we joined Inti hack once a while.
Yeah. So
Uh,
it's a
but I don't see like any new indie hack coming up, or or I'm not uh, catching up properly.
they are busy. I think the
Yeah,
guys gonna be busy.
yeah. So everybody has a different time where they are busy and yeah.
Yes.
But I think that's about it. We can
Yeah.
end a bit early.
Yeah. Then we have three
uh,
days weekend
yeah.
and all
No,
that.
I actually took a whole week off. You won't be seeing me next week. I mean, seeing me as in meetups like Golang,
Okay.
but it's still gonna be organized. And you can, yeah, do join up if you're interested. You're gonna
Yeah.
be seeing a few familiar faces there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So that's it. So shall we say goodbye then?
yeah. I think yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Goodbye.
bye, bye, Nicholas. Good
Yeah.
night.
Good night. I wonder if I can